The journey from Ember Swatch to Soul Aram spanned 6 days and was filled with tales of adventure, insightful lectures, loud boisterous songs, and periods of companionable silence. One of Finn's initial lessons delved into the fundamentals of magic in the kingdom of Solar. Ulrich explained that wizards had a unique biology, particularly in their ability to consume multiple potions without the waiting period required by non-magical folks or the unattuned. The unattuned, if they overindulged in too many potions, risked falling severely ill, a consequence stemming from their body's rejection of the magical elements within the potions rather than the ingredients themselves. Ulrich also introduced Finn to the Night Watcher's tonic. This special potion granted the drinker the extraordinary ability to remain awake and alert for 5 days straight without any adverse effects. The only stipulation was that the user must engage in 4 hours of meditation between each dose to maintain its efficacy. Furthermore, Finn received a primer on general magical practices. Ulrich covered the use of magical tools, techniques for channeling magic to different parts of the body, and the advantages and disadvantages of utilizing a magical focus. These lessons provided Finn with a foundational understanding of the world he was about to step into, sparking a growing excitement and curiosity Finn had never had before. Eventually, the majestic sight of Soul Aram unfolded before them as they approached the gatehouse. Ulrich, adorned in his professor's cloak and mage armor, was instantly recognized, allowing them swift passage through the gates. They traversed the bustling city streets for about 20 minutes, absorbing the vibrant energy of the large city of Soul Aram, before they finally arrived at the Sunfire Academy. For a moment, Finn stood awestruck, his breath hitched at the sight. The school was a magnificent structure of white stone, punctuated with gold accents that shimmered in the sunlight. Towering spires reached towards the sky, but what truly captivated Finn was the magnificent golden phoenix emblem emblazoned on the front of the building. When he finally managed to tear his gaze away, he noticed Ulrich observing him with a warm, knowing smile. During the journey from Ember Swatch, a nascent apprentice-mentor bond had started to be established between them. However, Ulrich knew that until Finn's magical affinity was determined, a formal apprenticeship would have to wait. The discovery of Finn's affinity was a crucial first step in his magical education, one that would dictate his path forward. Ulrich's smile acknowledged the awe and wonder in Finn's eyes, a reaction he had seen in many young witches and wizards upon their first arrival at the academy.
"Welcome to Sunfire Academy, Finn,"
Ulrich said, his voice imbued with pride.
"This is where your journey as a wizard truly begins. Inside these walls, you'll find knowledge, challenges, and opportunities to grow beyond what you've ever imagined."
Finn nodded as they stepped towards the grand entrance of the Magical Academy. As they reached the doors, they swung open seemingly of their own accord. The automatic doors, a marvel of magical engineering, reaffirmed Ulrich's earlier explanation about the enchantments. The enchantments recognized professors, students, and prospective pupils. Others could gain entry, but only if accompanied by one of the aforementioned groups. Finn was intrigued by the seamless blend of magic and functionality that the academy showcased. As they moved through the hallways, Finn struggled to keep his composure and found it difficult to keep from pausing at every turn. Floating lights that danced in the air, golems of fire and lava fighting, and students practicing spells in the corridors were some of the things he was attempting not to be swept away by. However, the knowing look from Ulrich and the slowing of their pace told him how successful he was. During their walk, Ulrich had emphasized the importance of their immediate meeting with the headmaster. Given his impending military duties, This sense of urgency was the only thing keeping Finn from lingering in the corridors, filled with the desire to explore every enchanting detail. Eventually, they arrived at an imposing door, distinguished by its sheer size and absence of any handle. Ulrich knocked confidently, and after a brief moment, the door responded to his presence, swinging open without a touch, with Ulrich's gesture prompting Finn to follow him into the office. Finn took a deep breath to compose himself and stepped over the threshold. Stepping into the headmaster's office, Finn noticed the room was lined with shelves of ancient tomes and a large desk piled with scrolls and papers. The headmaster was an older man, with an imposing figure, but a gentle demeanor greeted them warmly. He had white hair and a long beard, clad in a simple navy mage robe and wizard hat. But it was not his appearance that seized Finn's attention. It was the palpable aura of power and commanding presence that seemed to surround him. Despite his advanced age, he exuded a sense of authority and capability that suggested he was not to be underestimated. Finn's instincts, which had guided him faithfully through his life's most pivotal moments, now told him that this man, presumably the headmaster, was formidable but not a threat to be feared. Trusting these instincts as he always had, Finn stepped forward and offered a respectful bow, maintaining eye contact. The headmaster acknowledged the gesture with a nod, as his eyes shifted to Ulrich, anticipating an explanation. The headmaster listened attentively as Professor Ulrich introduced Finn.
Headmaster Vulcan, this is Finn, a young wizard I encountered during a break from my deployment. His magical affinities haven't been determined yet, as he hasn't undergone testing. However, I've witnessed his ability to levitate objects, and interestingly, he seems to possess a unique connection with reptiles, but not with birds, mammals, or fish. Finally, our journey allowed only time for the most basic introduction to magic. There is still much I was unable to cover.
Ulrich explained, concluding with a respectful bow. After listening intently, the headmaster closed his eyes for a moment, seemingly processing the information. After a brief pause, he opened his eyes and offered Finn a slight, welcoming smile.
Hello, Finn. My name is Vulcan Fireheart, but you may call me Headmaster Vulcan,
he said, nodding cordially. Finn responded, feeling more at ease.
Hello, Headmaster Vulcan. My name is Finn, from Embertown.
The headmaster's pleasant demeanor remained as he turned his attention back to Ulrich.
Thank you, Ulrich. I'll take it from here. We'll conduct the affinity test for Finn. And once we have all the necessary information, his den master will assist him in acquiring his school supplies. We still have several scholarships available, so that won't be an issue.
Ulrich nodded in understanding, then turned to Finn, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder.
See you in a few weeks, kid. Stay out of trouble and study hard. I'll be back in 2 to 3 moon cycles, and I want to see marked improvement and some spells utilizing your affinity.
After giving the headmaster another respectful bow, Ulrich departed swiftly. Finn was left in the capable hands of Headmaster Vulcan. Headmaster Vulcan's chuckle resonated warmly in the room, lightening the rather tense atmosphere. He noticed Finn's puzzled expression and explained,
I must say, that's the most I've ever heard Ulrich talk about non-beast-related topics with a student. Tell me, do you think you have any affinity for light magic?
Finn shook his head, his tone respectful.
I'm not sure, sir. I've never been tested for any magical affinities.
Finn commented, then with a slight smirk continued.
As for Professor Ulrich, it seems I got to see a different side of him, as he's been quite communicative since we met. While our journey here did involve discussions about beasts, a topic he was obviously really passionate about, we also talked about a wide range of other topics.
The headmaster's smile broadened, and he nodded with a fond, almost nostalgic expression.
Ulrich is an excellent professor, though he does tend to spend most of his time outdoors, among animals. Like many beast masters, he often prefers the company of beasts over socializing with other wizards.
Rising from his chair, he gestured towards the door and began to lead Finn out.
Don't misunderstand. I'm not criticizing him. It was just amusing and somewhat surprising to see our usually stoic professor so engaged and sociable with a student.
As they walked, Finn couldn't help but smile too, reflecting on his interactions with Ulrich. He had indeed noticed that the professor was generally reserved and mild-mannered. However, when the conversation turned to beasts or magic, Ulrich transformed, speaking with such enthusiasm and depth that it was almost overwhelming. Finn followed the headmaster and began to answer his brief but insightful questions, all while being led through the academy with a practiced ease. Eventually, they arrived at one of the towers in the northern section of the building.
This is one of the boys' dormitories.
The headmaster explained.
Each student is allotted a personal room equipped with the bed, a dresser, a small closet for cloaks, and some additional space. The extra space is often utilized for storage or as a resting place for familiars.
As they entered through the automatic double doors, Finn was greeted by a bustling common room. Boys of various ages were engaged in studying, playing games, or immersed in books. Upon noticing the headmaster, the room fell into a respectful hush, as they promptly stood and bowed in unison, greeting him respectfully. The headmaster acknowledged them with a gentle smile.
Hello everyone. Please, continue with your activities. However, I would like Den Masters Alden and Cedric to accompany me.
He requested. Two older boys, presumably Alden and Cedric, nodded in acknowledgement and followed the headmaster, along with Finn, down a hallway. Coming to a stop, the headmaster faced the trio.
Good evening, gentlemen. This is Finn, our newest student. You arrived today. Tomorrow, I need one of you to escort him around town to acquire his supplies.
Cedric and Alden nodded in understanding, clearly accustomed to such responsibilities. With a final, brief dip of his head, the headmaster bid them farewell, leaving Finn in the capable hands of his new den masters. Finn felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he was left standing with his den masters. His mental dialogue was cut abruptly when he heard the exaggerated twin signs from his den masters as Cedric bemoaned in awe and playfulness.
Every time the headmaster comes by, it's like there is this weight pressing down on me. He has got to be using gravity magic. There is no way that kind of pressure is natural.
He said with a dramatic sigh, half joking yet half serious. Alden, standing nearby, responded,
He's definitely got a presence, that's for sure.
though he seemed slightly skeptical about the gravity magic theory.
But I think it's just his personality, you know. He's got that sort of vibe that makes you straighten up and pay attention.
Finn, listening to their exchange, couldn't help but feel intrigued by the idea. The headmaster did have an extraordinary presence, one that seemed to extend beyond mere personality or position. Whether it was a result of some subtle use of magic or just the natural aura of a powerful wizard, it was clear that Headmaster Vulcan commanded respect and attention in a unique way. The conversation shifted as Finn felt the weariness of his journey settling in. Alden and Cedric, recognizing Finn's exhaustion, quickly focused on making him comfortable and ensuring he could rest.
Let's not keep you on your feet any longer, Finn.
Alden said, leading the way to Finn's new room.
You'll need your energy for tomorrow, especially with the affinity test and getting your supplies.
Cedric nodded in agreement, the previous conversation momentarily set aside.
Yes, and we'll make sure you're comfortable before your next dose of Night Watcher's tonic. It's important to keep up with that, especially after using it for extended periods of time.
The two den masters led Finn through the dormitory's hallways, which echoed with the quiet murmur of student life. They arrived at a modest but cozy room, furnished with the essentials that the headmaster had described earlier.
This will be your space.
Alden said, gesturing around the room.
Feel free to make it your own. And if there's anything you need, just let us know.
Finn stepped into his new room, a sense of relief washing over him. The prospect of a comfortable bed and a place to call his own, even temporarily, was more than he had the last couple of years. He turned to Cedric and Alden, thanking them for their assistance. Alden responds with a smile.
Anytime. That's part of our duties as den masters. Anyway,
Alden provided a succinct breakdown of the dormitory and class system within Sunfire Academy. The structure of age groups segmented into Fury, Heart, and Phoenix. It painted a clear picture of what to expect at the academy. The notion that he was starting in the Fury age group, in a tower named Flame, was very easy to follow and provided a way for there to be friendly competition amongst the students, as all the towers competed against each other in many ways. Alden's advice about questions was thoughtful and practical.
make sure to read through the introductory materials thoroughly.
He suggested.
It's not about looking foolish by asking questions, but rather about being well-informed. Many students expect their peers to know the basics, so it's good to be prepared.
Cedric chimed in with a blunter version of the same advice.
Basically, avoid asking stupid questions.
He said, causing Alden to roll his eyes.
Dumb questions make it look like the Phoenix Flame class is incompetent. Read the material, then feel free to ask any of us for help. You'll notice our class seems much smaller compared to yours. However, that is because we are out on missions most of the time.
Finn took in their words, understanding the importance of self-education and initiative in this new environment. As Cedric finished speaking, Finn thanked them one more time and retired to his room. As dinner time approached, Finn made his way into the common area. He was soon greeted by two human boys, appearing to be around his age. The one on the left extended his hand, introducing himself.
Hello, my name is Ilius Flamecrest, and this is my best friend, Soren.
Finn returned the gesture and replied.
Hi, I'm Finn. Nice to meet you both.
The trio engaged in a brief but friendly chat before the Phoenix Flame class led them towards the dining hall. Entering the dining hall for the first time, Finn was taken aback by the sheer size of the school. The hall housed 10 long tables, each seemingly able to easily accommodate 100 people, bustling with students ranging in age from 9 to 21. At the forefront was a long staff table, filled with adult wizards and witches, overseeing the hall. As Finn's eyes roamed the hall, he realized the diversity of its occupants extended beyond humans. Among them were demi-humans with animal traits, fairies, demons, angels, orcs, and even a few dwarves. This was a new experience for Finn, who came from Emberswatch, a small human town. But never had Finn witnessed such a mix of species in one place. Finn trailed behind Ilias and Soren to a table near the center of the loud dining hall, where he relished his first substantial and fresh meal in nearly 2 years. Satiated, he soon found himself being summoned to a side room by Cedric. Upon entering the room, Finn and Cedric were greeted by an owl demi-human with striking gold eyes. The demi-human gestured to the space in front of them, directing their gaze at Finn. Stepping forward, Finn looked up at the owl demi-human professor who towered over him. She regarded Finn with a kind yet penetrating gaze and spoke in a beautifully soft, feminine voice.
Hello, hatchling. Place your hand on the crystal ball and channel some magic into it. Exert as much force as you can. This ball will gauge your magical capacity and determine your affinity.
With a determined nod, Finn placed his hand on the dark crystal ball and began to concentrate and funnel his magic into it. He pushed his magical energy as hard as he could. Feeling a wave of exhaustion hit him after a few seconds. As he looked up, weary but curious, the professor handed him a small potion vial, saying,
Well done.
She commended, her voice warm.
You've registered as above average for your age group, and it appears you don't have a magical affinity.
The weight of the professor's words seemed to amplify Finn's exhaustion, making him feel faint. But before he could start to panic, Cedric's enthusiastic slap on his shoulder jolted him. He looked at his den master with a mix of surprise and confusion on his face.
Congratulations, man. Well, this is going to be great for the Flame Tower.
Cedric exclaimed as his face lit up with a beaming smile. Finn looked at Cedric, his expression one of utter bewilderment. Cedric, realizing Finn's confusion, decided to explain.
I know we said to hold off on questions, but this is something different. Normally, not having a magical affinity implies that someone is non-magical or unattuned. However, in your case, possessing magic without a specific affinity means you can utilize magic in its purest form. You have the potential to manipulate your magic to mimic almost any element.
Finn's confusion deepened.
But I've been trying to make fire for years. I've never even managed to spark.
He admitted, his voice tinged with a hint of frustration. Cedric appeared momentarily lost for words, but the professor interjected smoothly.
That's because you don't yet understand what fire is. To harness it, you need to study and truly comprehend it. What ignites a fire? What sustains it? These are the questions you must explore. Once you grasp the essence of fire, you'll be able to create it with little effort. Most fire mages rely on an external source of fire to draw from. But as an unaffiliated mage with raw magic, you can produce fire as long as you have the magical energy.